Welcome back to the Féileacáin Fathers Podcast. This is episode 4, and we are joined today by Martin and Caroline. They've travelled all the way over from Trim. I suppose, just before we get into it, the whole point of the Féileacáin Fathers Podcast is to promote a bit of awareness about child loss and what parents go through, and to show that there is some connection and there is support out there for you. And that's what the guys do when they come down on the podcast. They share their story in the hope that someone can relate and maybe find some strength in their darkest hours about it. So with that, I'll introduce the two most important people in the room today, and we just get an introduction. How are you doing, guys? And thanks for coming.
Good. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for having us. Yeah, we're doing good.
Good. So how does it feel sitting here? I do always put myself in the people's position that's coming down. How do you feel now you're sitting here?
I feel good. I have no problem talking about Stephen. It's 10 years now. We've been on a couple of radio stations and bits and pieces, so we'll always talk about it if we're asked.
Good. And can I ask, tell me a little bit about you guys first before we get in. How long are Martin and Caroline, how did it work, or how did it start? Or
Let you take that one.
Thank you. So we met nearly 25 years ago on Irish Ferries. I was starting to work there, and Martin was on a week off from school, or not from school, sorry, from college. And so Martin was supposed to be training me in on the ship on different duties, and I don't know why, but he was teaching me how to make a cappuccino.
okay.
And I scalded myself on the jug, and he laughed. And then when he asked me out, I said yes.
And he's still laughing.
Still laughing.
And he's still laughing
So
now.
he's still laughing.
So
yeah,
was it love at first sight, guys?
I remember seeing her in the terminal before we went on. Like, I've been working Irish Ferries for 6 or 7 years at the time.
Okay.
So I was just waiting that whole time for her to show up. That's all.
There I was.
Like two ships passing in the night.
Together.
So how did things progress, or when did family life, or where does the story go?
So we were together for 5 years, nearly 5.5 years before we got married. And then we moved to Trim shortly after we got married. Our first pregnancy then ended in a miscarriage. Then we had Amy, she's nearly 17. And we had Sammy, and she's 16. And then we were pregnant on Stephen then in 2015. And unfortunately, we lost him at 20 weeks and 2 days. And then we have Olivia, who is nearly 9.
Okay. When you talk about Stephen, if just for other parents, where your first pregnancies obviously prior to miscarriage, was it normal pregnancies, any complications, anything like that, or was it normal, or when we say normal?
Well, I have type 1 diabetes, so they were all monitored.
Okay.
They were all
Big babies.
big babies. So I was induced a week early on Amy. She was born and she was 10.5 pounds, so big babies.
Yeah.
She was C-sectioned.
Yeah, so she was a C-section. Then Sammy was a C-section, and she was 11 pound 10.5. And then Stephen would have been a C-section as well, but he was actually my only natural delivery.
Okay. Because I always relate when I'm speaking with someone, because I remember when we had our first daughter, Summer, when we had her, it was in the MLU, a natural birth. Everything was no doctors, no anything, and that's what I assumed childbirth was to be like. And then when we had our next one, Brooke, we thought everything was normal. Then we got to complete. My little Brooke was full term, and it was just you're never prepared. You just don't know these things. And what was that like for you? After a miscarriage, and then you have 2 children. Did you, like, for other parents, did you just feel that's us, we're okay now? Things like this can't happen, or?
Yeah, it's kind of, when I was talking to my own parents, they were telling me they had a miscarriage as well at the start, and it was kind of, in my head, it was not logical, but it's kind of, the first one was a practice. It didn't work. It was very, very early on when we lost. I think it was the 8-week scan, was it? When we went in. It was very early anyway. But after that, then it never even crossed my mind that we would lose another child. Not at all. So it was like, the first one didn't work. Okay, go again. We had Amy. I remember when we were having Amy, I brought in my laptop from work, and I was kind of updating everybody from the laptop. A little website put up, and it was just saying, we're progressing along, and then they all stopped, and everybody freaked out because they didn't get any updates from Amy. But she was all very good. But the pregnancy with Sammy was the same. We knew she was a big baby. To my mind, big is beautiful, because I'm a big fella myself, but big and healthy babies kept along. Stephen was the same until the night we lost him.
And I know it's always a part of the story, but it's just for other parents who unfortunately have yet to or have recently gone through. And did you have any indications with Stephen? Was everything going normal, scans, checkups, everything? If you could share a little bit about what happened there or the lead up or how things progressed.
So everything was going fine. I went to I wasn't feeling well on the Saturday night, so I went to the emergency unit and they checked the heartbeat and everything, and they put a trace on, and the heart was really powerful, all going well. And then I remember we were watching the rugby match on the Sunday. I can't remember who we were playing, Ireland and was it New Zealand? Anyway, but we were sitting there and everything was fine, went to bed, and then on the Monday morning I got up and I just had this sense that there was something wrong. I just felt inside that I felt empty, even though Stephen was still there. And I remember saying to Martin, will you just poke my belly? Just poke my belly, just for something. And he was like, oh, it's fine. Baby's probably asleep. And we didn't know at this stage that we were having a boy. But I had pains in my back. So I went to my GP, and because I wasn't above the 24 weeks, they weren't going to do a trace or do the Doppler to check for a heartbeat, which is standard procedure. They always wait, because at that time the cutoff was 24 weeks. So because Amy and Sammy had colds, she said that it was more than likely that, and that was fine. You know, I didn't disagree with her. I did kind of feel a bit fluey or whatever. So I went home, and as the day progressed, the pains were getting worse. And then that night, Amy wasn't well. But at the same time, I was like, I have to actually do something. So we rang the hospital, and they were like, we rang Drogheda. And they said, well, look, if you're actually miscarrying, there's nothing we can do. You're going to have to go to the maternity hospital. And I rang the maternity hospital, and they were like, well, if it's flu-like symptoms, that's probably what it is. You shouldn't come in. But I didn't feel okay to leave it. So we put the 2 kids in the car, and Martin put his foot to the floor, and we drove to the rotunda, 3:00 in the morning. And we got there, and Martin sat in the waiting room with the kids. Obviously he couldn't come in because the kids were there. So I was texting him every so often, and one of the doctors came in, and he was doing a scan, and he was like, he said, no, there's something not right. He said, I need to get a second opinion. He said, I just can't get a clear picture. But I turned around as he left the room, and he had the picture frozen on the screen, and you could just see the full layout of Stephen's back and no heartbeat. So I knew. And then the doctor came in then, and she said, I'm really sorry, there's no heartbeat. But because I have diabetes, they always take bloods wherever I go. If I go into the hospital, like with any kind of a sickness, the first thing they do is take bloods. So it's a good thing that they did, because they were going to send me home. But then they came back and they said, no, there's something not right. And we were booked in the next day anyway for his anomaly scan. So that would have been the 20-week scan. And then we went for that anyway that morning. And that's when we found out we were having a baby boy. And we found out that everything was going perfectly fine. And he was born then at 2:45 on the Tuesday afternoon. Martin just about made it for the delivery, because he went into the bathroom to ring his mum to say, like, yeah, the doctors reckon it'll be a little bit longer. And then, no, it was all happening. And then Stephen was born at 2:45. 420 grams.
A couple of things, though. I was in and out to you.
No,
I
I know.
wasn't outside the whole time. You weren't on your own.
No, I know.
The whole time. But yeah, no, that was obviously a terrible night. But trying to balance the 2 girls, they were 7 and 8 at the time, and trying to not leave them alone in the waiting room as much as I can, but can't leave Caroline on her own because she's going through it. But yeah, I remember ringing my dad then, 3:30, 4 o'clock, come in and get the girls. I think I knew at that stage that Stephen was gone. But I think the scan we had the next day was really strange. I don't know how to describe it better than it was a combination of extreme pain and sadness and extreme proudness that I was having a son, because I didn't know till that time. And it's a really, really weird feeling. It's proud but devastated at the same time. And I'd never felt anything like it before. Never want to do it again, but it was very, very emotional.
And when I'm listening to you there, and because you live it, and we've all lived and we've been through it, there's so much there. Like, even if we just go back a little bit to just the start of this, just for other parents, making that initial phone call and the way you were speaking, and it was just so like, and I rang here, but the quiet torture and torment you're going through, you're trying to ring places for an answer, for help, for direction, for guidance, tell me what to do. And it's only a mother's intuition that's able to say, I know something's not right here. Like, what does that feel like? You know, for a parent maybe who's ever having that, or they're unsure, they're going through, like, what would you say to a parent? Because I thought that was really powerful when you were saying that.
I think just whatever, make the phone call. And if you're not happy with what you're being told, just turn up. You know, they can't refuse you, they can't turn you away. Absolutely, you know, I knew that there was something wrong with the baby, with Stephen. And like, I think if we had gone in earlier anyway, we probably would have been sent home, or we would have been told sooner that he was gone. I think I had a feeling anyway all day that he wasn't, that's what the inevitable was going to happen. But absolutely, you know, listen to your own body, listen to your own instincts, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to be right.
Yeah, I'd be like that with my partner. A woman always seems to know. And then there's just another part, there's just things that I'm just connecting with, as you're saying. I'm picturing he's in the hospital. You know, you're a woman, you're sitting at home, an evening time, you could be getting the kids ready, lunches, homework, arguing about something. Then all of a sudden, right, something changes, we have to go, something's not right. You're bringing 2 kids to the hospital. Stephen, you're worrying here. You don't want to leave on your own. You don't leave the kids on their own. The kids are trying to ask you questions to make sense. You know, the kids, they might know instinctively that something's wrong, but they know something's not right. What's that like, you know, for as parents, you're away from your kids, you want that comfort. What does that feel like, or what are you going through?
We tried to tell them the truth as much as we could, because there's no point in lying to them, they're going to find out anyway. But it's hard. Like, the kids, they're there, and I think there was somebody else in the room with them. Somebody just happened to be there. But it's kind of like, can you look after the kids while I go in for 5 minutes here and then swap in and out and in and out? But it's just, I just remember that it was an E. coli infection that killed Stephen in the end. But the doctors, when they checked Caroline and did all that stuff, were surprised she was able to be awake. The infection was that bad. And had we waited, as you said, trust her body, had we waited any longer, both of them would be dead. So the way we look at it is Stephen gave his life to save his mother.
Yeah.
So he's our little superhero. So it's again, we're trying to find positives from where it is, but it's a terrible situation. But we'll never forget him. We have our little teddy here, and all the stuff we got from Féileacáin as well. It's a terrible situation, but we've had so much positive stuff afterwards with the football team, with Féileacáin themselves. As Tony says, it's the worst football team in the world, but once you're in it, it's the best.
Yeah. And there's so, like, and it probably sounds weird me saying this, but I enjoy doing speaking to people who've been through it, because you'll understand connection. What you said there, when Brooke died, the doctors brought my partner. She had to have 4 blood transfusions but the doctors, I remember it was going on, and I was in that, you know, you don't know what's going on. We went in, we found out, then just no heartbeat at 40 weeks, and it was like the world was moving, but I wasn't moving. I wasn't believing what was going on. But as it progressed, I remember the doctors pulled us in. There was nurses, doctors everywhere, but they brought myself and Ashton's parents into a room and says, something needs to happen here, or, you know, because Ashton was losing so much blood. And with that, Brooke started to deliver herself. But what you said there, Stephen, was we says that was Brooke, you know, saving Mammy. And it's a powerful thing. And sometimes you do have to look and find the positives and things like that. So, and I'm just picturing you as a family. And so what happens when you find out that you've lost little Stephen? What's next in the hospital? Just for other parents as well. Like, what started to happen, or what did you go through, or what were the next steps for you?
So when he was born, we were left with him for a little while. They weighed him. I had a big argument though with the midwife because, well, for me it was like I wanted recognition for him straight away. And I was asking about, like, you know, would he be getting a stillbirth certificate and all that, and they said no, because he was smaller than the criteria was at that point. So, and he was born before 24 weeks and he weighed less than 500 grams. And I couldn't get my head around this, but I seemed to become fixated on that. But then the chaplain wanted to come in and I didn't want anybody in. And then Martin said, okay, she can come in. Martin kind of took over from that sense. And she mentioned the Féileacáin memory box. And I didn't want anything. I just wanted Stephen to be alive. I wanted this whole situation to just make sense because it wasn't making sense.
I kicked into dad mode then. So I said, they've been through this before. They know better than us what's good. So give whatever you have, leave it there. We'll look at it. And kind of, some great stuff in the box that we got. We got the teddies that we swapped with Stephen. So we kept one with ourselves and kept one with him. The teddies for the girls, they love them as well. But the cold cot gave us lots of extra time with Stephen in the room beside us. And I don't know, but I remember we were in, what was the room that had the symbol on the outside of it?
He's in Drogheda.
No, we were in the rotunda, so that it was the bereavement.
Bereavement suite anyway, but it was facing out to Parnell Square. And I remember seeing my mum outside and I shouted out the window at her and everybody ran in as if there was something wrong. That was a happy memory. There's no one crying.
Well, your mum was there.
Yeah, no, but all the nurses ran in and go, is everything okay? Is everything okay? So they're all kind of attuned to what's going on, but it was support, I suppose. I felt it good that way.
But I suppose when we had the little Féileacáin teddies, I would keep one in the hospital with me, and then Martin would bring the other one home, and then the other two girls would play with it, and then we'd swap them. So the three of them, between the three of them, they all got the teddies, got to play with the teddies. And then one of my friends, she actually gave us two little Dalmatians with the same kind of meaning behind it. So Stephen has one of the Dalmatians with him now and one of the Féileacáin teddies. And the two older girls have their big sister of an angel teddy bears. And then when Olivia was born, she has a little sister of an angel teddy bear. So they all cherish them.
And they're really important things, you know, and I'm always thinking of the parents who may have to watch this or whatever way, but them little mementos, they go a long way now, don't they? Yeah. They knowing that you still have a part, or that, you know, it's really important stuff to you, and it's stuff you're never prepared to think of either.
Yeah, no. And even photographs, take pictures, take a million pictures.
Yeah.
It's better to have a million of them and never look at them again than one and not have it. And I've heard it from the boys before, and it's the same with ourselves. And it's something you don't even think of.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely.
I think that's one regret that I have, is that we don't have an awful lot of photographs of Stephen. And we do have lovely photographs of Amy and Sammy holding him. So when we went home, so Stephen was born on the Tuesday and I went home on the Thursday. I kind of wanted to go home, but we didn't bring Stephen home with us. Okay. So we would kind of go up every so often to the morgue, or up to the chapel of rest, and they'd bring him from the morgue and they'd place him in this lovely little Moses basket. So the girls got to see him, they got to hold him, and then they got to kiss him. So we had a few days of that. So his funeral was the following Wednesday, after he was born. So we had the time in the chapel of rest where they got, as I said, they got to hold him and kiss him, and we did take a few pictures. But I suppose one thing is I am sorry about is that there's no real family picture of what the five of us would have been. But Martin has taking pictures because there was a picture taken of him holding Stephen and Amy and Sammy standing beside him, and they are literally beaming with pride. They are just so happy. And so he has kind of superimposed me in while I was pregnant, and then a smaller picture of Olivia then when she was born, so it looks like a family picture.
It's amazing to have, like, it's comfort. That's what I think a lot of all we're looking for is some type of comfort, some type of peace to ourselves. Can I ask you two as parents, what you's going through currently? Like, not now, but in that time, and I know it was 10 years, but what you's going through, like, what's life like? People say it feels like life stopped, but you're still moving without even, you're trying to still be parents to kids at home. What's life like for you, or if you can remember, what's your coping? How are you surviving?
I went into dad mode. So I just did everything for everybody else. Suppressed my own feelings, everything else. Not intentionally, but it's just, as what happened before, it's like, I think I know what's best for everybody, or what I need to do to help everybody get through it. And it took me a good 2 years before I started actually trying to talk to somebody. So, but it's easier to suppress it than it is to let it out. Because if you let it out, then you're falling apart the same as everybody else. And there's nobody there then to push everybody on and keep going and do the things. Everyday things are easier to do than looking at yourself and getting yourself right in the head and being accepting of your own feelings.
But it's true, it's easy to say, you have to accept it, but sometimes, and I was guilty of it as well, I done the exact same. I said, I look after the family, I look after Summer, I'll do everything. And then it just hits me after, because it is avoidance. But I think as well, it's just survival. You're just trying to think, and you have this outpouring of love for your partner and for your kids, and it just your instinct as a father and mother, but just to protect, keep safe, keep things going. I think, and it seems to be a common trait with dads, that's kind of what we do. We just want to protect and make things better. What about for you, Caroline? How's things for you as a mother? All you've been through, and with 2 kids at home, like, how are you surviving, coping? What's when you're at that stage?
Well, I wanted to get home to them. I struggled an awful lot. I couldn't make peace with coming home with no baby, and I kind of have to laugh at it now thinking back. But one of the doctors who came around, he was the assistant master of the hospital, I think, at that stage. But he just came in, and he was lovely. But he was like, going, for future pregnancies, like, we'll make sure that we do our best that this doesn't happen. And I'm like sitting here kind of going, okay, my baby's just sitting here, right here.
Yeah.
And you're talking to me about future pregnancies. Like, this does not make sense. But I suppose then when I left the hospital, I kind of became fixated on that. But it was a case of getting home to the girls, to being with them, to try and find some sense of normality when my body was acting as if I had given birth to a live baby. So there was that conflict as well. How do you make peace with that when, you don't have a baby pretty much to show for this, or for whatever you're going through? But I think I made a promise to myself that I would speak his name and that I would talk about him. And I was perfectly fine if anybody that I knew didn't want me to. I was perfectly happy for them to leave my life, because it was so important for me to speak his name. And I still do. And he's everywhere. So.
And can I ask, just as we're going along, I'm just trying to get the journey as parents, say for family members, people come and speaking to you, all the stuff that comes after, the outreach, of sympathy towards you. How did you deal with that? Because people seem to be different. Some people want to go close off. How were you with family and speaking with people, and the kind of, for the want of a better way of putting this, the normal stuff that people go through while you're going through this, what we go through, the life's upside down, never feel like it'll never be right again, and you've people just coming to you, oh, we're here for you. How did you deal with that kind of stuff? Because it is hard.
We were, from the outset, we were talking about Stephen to everybody pretty much straight away. And as you're saying, like everybody was there, and I kind of, in the dad mode I was in, it didn't really affect me because I not that I expected it, but that was what I thought was going to happen. But then when some of my other friends showed up, it again hit me, and it's just like, thanks for being here. I really, really appreciate it. But it's when somebody does something. It's even just showing up to Stephen's funeral. We had him cremated, and when a couple of close friends of mine showed up, I just bawled, and it was just from them showing up, and it was just appreciated. It was nice. I mean, I have two overriding memories from the day we lost Stephen. One was when we had the scan, and the other was when we were told we had to bury him, or we had to pick out a coffin for him, and it's the only time in my life I actually was floored. I was standing at the time, and I just remember sitting then. It was just gone. It had never even occurred to me. It was something I would have to do. Even when we were told he was dead, it was just the things you don't think about are the things that are going to take you off guard and floor you. But I couldn't even deal with it.
No, yeah, I remember kneeling on the floor in the room in the rotunda because they were going to let me deliver in a private room rather than bring me down to the delivery suite. But whatever way my contractions were working, the only place that I could get comfortable was kneeling on the floor. So Martin's runners were absolutely fascinating to me. But then I remember the midwife coming in and saying, like, yeah, your baby's big enough to be buried. And Martin was like, one minute he was standing, and then the next minute he was on the bed sitting down. He's like, what are you talking about? And she was like, your baby's big enough to be buried or cremated. And so, yeah, I remember trying to crawl up to him to kind of hold his hand or rub his knee. But I think that's something that that was a really difficult thing to understand because we'd never ever entertained that thought in any aspect. Like
it was real reality coming, like a bunch of reality. Like, this is very real now.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, I actually have to deliver a baby. I think we were very naive in that sense.
I wouldn't say it was naive. I'd say it's like
it never occurs.
No. We had to pick out a coffin as well, and you're trying to pick out a pretty coffin, but the two don't go.
Yeah.
And then we buried Brooke in Ashton's communion dress, my partner's communion. Like, you're trying to make it sentimental, and we're taking photographs of her in the coffin, and like we're talking about here. And the reason that I'm saying this stuff is because you think, you question, are you mad?
Yeah.
But I'm not. Like, I find it very hard to look at photographs because it brings me right back to the day, and it's tough. But for people who are going through it or have yet to go through it or anything like that, they're important to us now. But it's that reality. We're never prepared for these little things, and they sideswipe you out of nowhere, like the coffin or ringing a funeral director, or it's just, there's so things like that you're just not prepared for, and they are really hard to deal with. Can I ask on this, because when you have kids at home, how are your kids, or how are they getting through this? Because these kids are very, they can take things. How are kids at home at this stage?
Well, at this stage, Amy's 17 and Sammy's 16. And likewise, they've always spoken about Stephen. They'll always write his name on a Christmas card or a birthday card from the two of them. So they'll always add him to, or they'll draw a butterfly. He's always added on the list to Santi. One of them will ask, will you please bring something small for my brother? He's very much a part of our family, and they've all included him, even Olivia. Olivia gives out to us because she never got to meet him. So we're like, okay, sorry.
Do you ever, sorry, you're after making something pop into my head. Do you ever get asked the questions you're not prepared for by the kids? So I have younger kids than Brooke, and sometimes we'd be sitting driving in the car, and Madison will turn around and just go, why is Brooke not here? And it's so hard sometimes, because the kids could just be having a normal argument, or, and then boom, why isn't Brooke here? And you're just, the emotion, because I think sometimes you can't, sometimes we can put up our defense mechanisms.
Yeah.
I think kids are just able to bypass that with their innocence, and it just sideswipe you. Do you ever have anything like that, or when you're unprepared?
I think we kind of made the conscious decision, I said before, to let them all know everything. and even involve them in some of the decisions and stuff.
Yeah.
But like even with Olivia, we'll bring her up. We bought one of the trees above and have for Stephen and little monuments and little teddy bears and stuff like this that she can play with. So as far as that, like everybody knows everything in the family, so we're very open that way. But again, she will come out with some stuff like, oh, I want to get something for Stephen specifically, for just randomly, even if we're going to the zoo, I just want to get a teddy for Stephen, because we have his ashes at home in the sitting room, and we have 2, 3, lots of shelves now.
4 shelves.
They add up as the years go. I know,
yeah. So it's it'll just come from nowhere, and it's good to know that she's still thinking of them as well, and they always do.
It was actually one of Sammy's friends said to me, though, I think because Sammy was only 6, she had just turned 6 when Stephen was born, and so for Christmas her friend was giving Sammy chocolate, like little ornaments to hang on the tree, and she gave one to her for Sammy, and she goes, wouldn't it just be absolutely amazing if we could just go up in a portal now and give this to Stephen and see his reaction? And her mum was standing there going, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like going, why are you sorry? This is so lovely.
Yeah.
This is really, really lovely. And like, please don't ever shush her for that. But yeah, it would probably come more from other kids rather than our kids, because, you know, we do talk about them. And like, sure, if something falls in Sammy's room, she's like, oh God, here's Stephen throwing things at me. You know, if there's a butterfly, if there's a butterfly in the house, it's like, oh look, he's watching me. You know, so they kind of find ways to include him.
Do you know, you said there, and I think, you said it without knowing it, and I think it's the exact reason why we love having people on here to come down and talk like this, because it is a taboo subject. You know, it's people don't know what to say. And that was the child's innocence. It says something that it's kind and it's sweet and it's so true. But parents, when we're conditioned to society and things like that it's like, oh, can't say that. Yeah. But just when we have parents down who share and say, this is, you know, it's not, yes, it is horrible and painful and it's a taboo subject for most people, but it's not. We're parents, we love, we feel, we have all them things. There's something I've been really excited to get on to here, and it's the teddy bear that you told me about when you got here. I thought it's absolutely amazing, and for other parents who might not know there's things like this, so please tell me about baby Teddy Stephen.
So Blue Stephen Bear,
right?
He came from a charity in America called Molly's Bears, and he weighs 420 grams, which is what Stephen weighs. Now
wow.
He's a lot longer, taller, but he still weighs 420 grams. And all his clothes come from the Build-A-Bear factory.
Brilliant. Tell me, how did you find out about this teddy? I think it's just amazing.
So actually it was a girl that I met when doing the Remembrance Run in the Phoenix Park a few years ago. And she had just lost her son, Tig. And I remember seeing a picture that went up then on her Facebook of Tig Bear. And Tig was he was full term, so I went on, had a look at it, and they do bears smaller than the Féileacáin teddy bears.
Right.
So whatever size for whatever weight baby. So yeah, we ordered a Molly bear, Stephen Bear, from Molly's Bears, and he has a heart on his chest that has Stephen Francis, and he has a butterfly on his right ear. So they personalise it.
And this, I thought, you can personalise it for your own little touches or little mementos of things that I thought was amazing. Where does baby Blue Stevens sit at home, or where is his spot in the house, or does he have a particular spot, or does he move?
He sits on my pillow on the bed, but Stephen Bear, he goes on holidays and he has his own passport.
What's that?
Stamped regularly.
And yes, I have to say, people in the airport, they're absolutely amazing. They stamp his passport and everything.
But
they don't know the story. They might not know the story, but they see the.
Isn't it amazing though? Like it is. It's just, and that's a bit of healing along the way for you. And you have done some amazing work as well. Because as you mentioned when we were talking earlier on, that when you Stephen was under 24 weeks, you had a lot of work to do in order to get certified. Can you tell me a little bit about that, or what that process was like, or what you had to do?
So it never sat well with me that Stephen wasn't going to get an official stillbirth certificate. Like, I gave birth to him with all the physical evidence of him. He was cremated. all of that kind of stuff.
Just on that, when you get somebody cremated, if you want to bring the ashes abroad, you have to have a cert saying this is human remains, which we have.
So everything that was happening was like a contradiction.
Yeah, we
It's
have
like
a
we
human
have all
here,
this,
but
but
it's not officially recognised by the government.
But the state didn't recognise it. So I think it was around Stephen's second anniversary. I had a dream, and I think Leo Varadkar was Taoiseach at the time, and I wrote a letter to him, and I woke up the next morning and I could write it down word for word. And I said it to Martin. He was like, "Oh God, Caroline, will you just let it go? It's just a piece of paper. What does it matter?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not just a piece of paper. It's more than that. He's our son." So I contacted the bereavement wife in the Rotunda. She was like, "Oh God, Caroline, that's mountains and hills and everything that you have to climb." And then I contacted Féileacáin, and I was talking to Jacinta, and she's like, "You need to talk to Mary." So I rang Mary, and Mary was like, "Yeah, absolutely, we'll support you on this." Mary's just deadly. Everybody needs a Mary and a Jacinta and put them in their pocket.
Well, everybody needs a Caroline that says no. I'm not selling it, but it does. It takes strength, willpower, and a mother's love to say no. I'm doing this. So all my admiration. But sorry, carry on.
Thank you. But yeah, so we kind of set the ball in motion, and we went to speak to some of the TDs, and yeah, so it was a long battle, a long journey, and then we were getting somewhere, and the certificate of life bill was published, and it went into the Seanad, and on Stephen's 7th birthday it passed. Second stage went into committee stage, and then the government was dissolved. So that kind of put a spanner in the works. But then through talks that Féileacáin were involved in, the criteria was brought down to 23 weeks or 400 grams, whichever came first. And because Stephen was 420 grams, he was now eligible for a stillbirth certificate.
Big boy.
So he is officially seen in our family. And the fight is still going on for babies before the 23 weeks or 400 grams for that recognition, because it is just horrendous.
I think that is scandalous.
It's horrendous.
There's a thing, and it's kind of when you were speaking there that I kind of associate this to, and it was just about a mum or a dad, and you know, and they say it was about a parent who wanted to join the bereavement group, but they'd lost a child at earlier weeks, and they said to my partner, like, "Do I qualify for this?" And you know, and I understood, and I was so angry, not at the mother, but at that she felt like this. And as far as I'm concerned, whether it's your partner tells you or when you see the test, and you see you already get the text I've got a few times is you're going to be a dad, or the pregnancy test is you're going to be, you know, you're pregnant. That's a parent, because I think in that moment you physically your thinking changes.
Yeah,
I'm a parent.
You go off. You do. You're in your head. You're booking college places.
Yeah, you're doing
a whole life laid out.
You've started that, and then as you go on, whether it's 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 20 weeks, you've begun that journey and the process, and you've started at the hopes, the scares, the fears, the dreams, everything you want for them. So to me, like that's something that does make me quite angry that a parent should have to, you know, in that kind of respect. But the work the yous have done, it starts something. Do you know what I mean? It starts a process, and for someone else who might not have to go through that struggle is absolutely amazing. You know, that can, because of the work you done. Was it a hard journey to get there? Was there hopeless nights? Was there anger? Was there
7 years?
Wow.
It was literally after his 9th birthday. So he was 9 in October, and we got his certificate on the 8th of November.
I think for 3 elections, I sent emails to every single person that was running to say, this is what we want to talk about, because everybody listens when they're running for election.
Yeah.
And then the ones that got in send it another thing. Oh, just to follow up, I sent this to you beforehand. And the opposition always reply. The government never does.
Okay.
And it was only for, I think Regina Doherty was in office at the time. And it was only for that we heard that she was in a local pub canvassing on the local elections, and we went and doorstopped her. And fair play to her, though. She knew who we were and she knew what we were talking about. But I don't think anything would have happened only for we actually went and saw her.
Yeah. You took the bull by the horns and that one. And you were on radio as well. There's a reason I'm going to ask, but you were on radio as well.
Yeah, we were on LMFM, and we've been on TV3 News. The story was in the papers. I suppose it was kind of a thing that we wanted to make known, that that's what happens. That, like, if your baby doesn't, and I hate this phrase, criteria, meet the criteria. I absolutely detest that. That's
That there's a criteria.
that
Yeah,
you're
that
like
there's-
just you could be so close. You could be in 23 weeks and 6 days or 499 grams, but it's like, sorry, your baby just didn't make
Where's
it.
the compassion? Where's the basic human empathy towards someone?
Yep.
The reason I asked that question, and it was the one thing I wanted people to know who may have only recently gone through or have, I don't even like saying it because it's such a bad, but from when you lost even to where you're at now, did you ever think you'd be able to do these things? Or what I'm trying to get at, the part of the process that you went on, that some strength does come back, and love is a powerful thing. It just manifests itself in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But from when you went through that horrible time, did you ever see yourself being here or building the courage from the despair to where you're at now? There's still hurt and all the pain, but to be able to go out and help others. I'm just trying to get at that, people, there is hope. The pain never
there
goes. But
certainly is.
did you ever see yourselves getting to this point from back then?
No,
Nope.
I would have been very much a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. I suppose I've kind of hardened, but I'm very grateful that Stephen gave me his voice. Because I do speak his name, and I do believe that what we have done or what we're trying to do in terms of the certificate is hugely important,
Yes.
because it just seems to fall on deaf ears. And it's, again, it comes down to the people in power, but where is the compassion? Where is the acknowledgement of what has been lost and who has been lost?
I think some of the
Not a what,
problem
it's a
is,
who.
it's like you say, it's taboo. Nobody talks about it, and guaranteed, everybody in the Dáil there knows somebody this has happened to. It's just they don't know it's happened to them. It's Mary Sherry Carney was a great supporter of ours as well, and she had 8 miscarriages, something like that, in a row, and terrible, terrible, terrible story. But I remember going into the Shannon for one of the debates and just giving her a hug afterwards. Just, she knows what it's like.
Yeah.
I know it's terrible to use the word worse, but worse than we had it, but understands, is trying to make a difference. And then politics, the government changes.
Well, that's the thing about Féileacáin, though. You can be in the worst possible place in your life, but you know that you're surrounded by love. And you can go in and have the worst day and rant and rave. And then if you laugh, it's okay to laugh.
Yeah, and that's something
And
we worry
it's
about. Am I okay to
huge.
laugh? Am I
Yeah,
not?
absolutely. It's huge. I was chatting to women earlier on, and I was like going, seriously, you need to cop on, because if you don't, I'm going to start suing you. Because of, the wives and girlfriends or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's we can get the banter out of it, but we all know that it really is a horrible place, a horrible situation to be in. But we can share our babies, and we can imagine what they're getting up to all sorts, no doubt.
Yeah.
Full of development. But it's so special to be able to have that and not feel guilty.
Yeah.
About having that, about talking about our babies, or about making anybody feel uncomfortable, because you're not going to make them feel uncomfortable, because we all get it.
I know when I go, I want you to make fun of me the whole time. I don't want you to be sitting around miserable.
You go out there for 5 minutes and go back in. And while we're moving on to Féileacáin, kind of the last bit is it's kind of and I see the amazing crest, the crest that means everything to all of us. When you're lucky enough to put on a jersey or be part of it, the crest, and Féileacáin Fathers. How did you come across Féileacáin Fathers, and what has it done for you? And I know I don't like smiling during these, but this is the part where there's hope and there's love and there's some brightness, and it starts with the crest and Féileacáin Fathers and what it does for you. So how did you come across? What's that story?
Yeah, so Caroline was volunteering, answering emails at the time, and I know Tony's told the story before, but Stephen Doran sent an email in.
Right.
She's the one that got it. So she replied to him.
Sorry, it was sent to Mary first, then Mary sent it to me saying, would you have a look at this? And I was like going, I don't know what to do about football.
But she turned around and said, you're on a football team now. But then she sent it on, and the boys made decisions inside. But I still talk to Stephen Doran now, every year, on baby loss awareness. We'll text each other and say, remembering the babies. So it's when he came over, big hugs. But it's been life-changing for me being in the team. I never played football before, even on socially I wouldn't have played at all. So it there was a bit of apprehension in me there, saying, oh, you're on a football team now. It's like, okay, but all the lads Johnny and Davey, Tony, Jay, everybody made me feel welcome. Anytime I fell over, they physically pulled me up, mentally, go again, you're all good, don't worry about it. It's such a fantastic team. And the best of it is they all know what it's like. We've all been through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've had up days, down days, but when I go and play a game of football, it goes away. It's being around people and having the crack that have been through the same thing and knowing that it's okay to be laughing, it's okay to be through it. And it's like I've had some of my best days. I think we were playing the game in Dalymount and we went back into the showers and we just sat there for about 20 minutes talking about our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it was okay.
Yeah.
And it was best memories of my life, really.
You can't put a price on that.
No. And it's even to this day, we were playing there last weekend. Jay standing at the sideline shouting at everybody, "Oh, get up here!" But it's in a good way. It's encouragement, and it's great to. Well, I was going to say it's great to see new dads. It's terrible to see new dads, and it always makes me sad when somebody gets added to the group,
Mm-hmm.
and it's welcome to the group, lads, and it always takes a little bit out of me, kind of, to welcome somebody, but I know they're in the best place for them, and it's such a loving atmosphere for everybody. And more recently, the wags have been coming into it more and more often. And
Careful
taking
now,
over
there's
and
lots of them.
booking
You could
and-
be getting
I know,
in trouble here.
I'm saying this is a good thing. I'm saying it's a good thing.
Is he backtracking there or what's going on?
No, it's absolutely.
It is though. 100%.
Yeah, the trips away with everybody, and it's just everybody being able to be at ease with everybody, and knowing there's no eggshells. You can say what you like, everybody will understand.
It really is. It's a community feel, isn't it? It's genuine. That's the one thing that I'd say I pick.
Yeah.
It's genuine. And as you said, it's not about football. Football is a thing that we do, and it helps, and it's a bit of exercise, and we all need it. And that's great.
Injury prone.
Yeah, knees, hips, the whole world. But it's not about football. Football is just something we do. It's so much more than that. And the thing that I hope when you said about new dads when they join, your heart does break, because we all go back to our own moments and when it happened to us. But on the flip side, to have somewhere to go, it's just because I didn't know about it all them years ago, nothing existed, and you go through your own, just to know you're not on your own. To me, there's a lot of therapy in that. And then going out and to kind of meet the dads and put on the jersey and attend the big days. But like you were saying there, if we could just say to anyone, just give yourself a chance. Just turn up. Just once. Mm-hmm. Just go and give yourself the opportunity. Say hello. Because it can be daunting. You see lads writing in, this is my first time going. You know what they're going through. But it's so worth it in the long term. What's it like for on the mammy side of Féileacáin Fathers?
Oh yeah, no, we have banter, and we have a WhatsApp group, and it's cool. It's like, we always say to anybody coming in new, look, you can tell your story, you can talk about your baby, whatever you feel comfortable with. But if you just want to be on the sidelines and say nothing, one of the mums came in this morning. She was welcoming a new mum and her baby into the group, and she was like, you can be like me. I pay attention every so often, and then I zone out, and then I look at my phone and I've got 1,089 messages. So it's like, it's a place where you can be when you want to be there. Yeah. You don't have to be, but we're always going to be there, whenever you want us to be.
Yeah, it's no obligations. No. We're just there. And that's a strange thing for some people in this day and age. Just to know that people are just there for you, who just understand and just want to lend a hand if you need it.
Yeah.
And that's really the kind of... I suppose before we wrap up, and it's a very strange one to say, but I'm always trying to keep at my core when speaking to someone, offering hope or strength to the next people or the people who need it just a little bit more than us right now. Is there anything that you'd say to anyone, coping mechanisms, anything supporting yourself, self-care? Is there anything that you've done that helped or that helped you? And we're all different, and that's why it's so important. But is there anything that you'd share with anyone to, if they go through or support, even like join Féileacáin Fathers or whatever? Is there anything that you have from your own journey?
I suppose talk. It's the one thing I didn't do for 2 years. And it was eating me up. Talking is to either Féileacáin Fathers or to somebody you trust, to my wife. It's needed to do it. It's just, I don't know what, at the time I thought I was doing the right thing and didn't know until it was too late, and then it was popped. But yeah, talking is all you can do.
talk, and you know, you've gone through the worst possible thing imaginable. No
Still
one,
there, though.
yeah, and every day is a day, not a day that you're ever going to forget your baby. It's another day of remembering them, and you bring them with you wherever you go. And there is, like, you know, Féileacáin is all, the doors are always open, the phone line is always on, and there will be somebody there to talk to.
Guys, thanks a million for coming down from Féileacáin Fathers, for the people who are going to watch this and the people who are going to take something from it, and it always happens. I suppose just for anyone that is watching the podcast, and we say this everyone, but if you're struggling or on your own, or you need a bit of connection or somebody just to speak to, reach out to any of the Féileacáin social media sites, Instagram, Facebook, there's a website, but just give yourself a chance. Just pick up the phone, and somebody will contact you, someone will have a chat with you and tell you exactly what goes on. But there's a whole community of men, dads and mothers who are happy to support and talk and get you through, and join our community, because we'd be more than happy to have you, as much as we don't necessarily want you to be there, but it's the case for all of us that we're here, you know, and we're all damn glad of it. So for this episode, I think we'll dedicate this episode to baby Stephen and all our angels that aren't with us. And thanks so much, guys, for coming down again. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
having
Thank you.
Thank you.